So I started this the first time and then realized that I had no palette and I had no paper. Really prepared. So this week's Paint Your Style is complicated and I don't like it very much. But that is no reason not to do it. And so we're going to do it on this square paper, mostly because I have lost my block. I would say that's fair to say. I cannot find it anywhere. I have looked all over the studio, can't find it, so it's lost. And then the other sort of thing is I'm gonna do my water section in shimmer, I think, like the waterfall falling into water section. I've only seen Madeline and Amber's. I haven't spent a lot of time on Instagram this week, so I've only seen the two of theirs, and it looks complicated and hard. And so I want to give myself the best shot of like creating something I really like. And I think that is most doable by using shimmer for the waterfall section, because I don't have masking fluid, so I can't mask it off to keep it white. I'm not confident my white gouache would keep it as white as I want it to be. So I think I'm just going to use a mixture of a couple different shimmers, probably a white and a very pale blue, and hope for the best. But to get to that point, we first have to deal with this rock stuff. And I'm not feeling it. But that's sometimes the thing about Paint Your Styles. Like, you don't get to choose, and that means you don't always feel what the week's challenge is. And in this case, I really don't. So let's continue to tape this off. And then we'll get into painting, because I think this could be quite challenging in its own way. Because it's not like some of the like massive tree ones we've had and stuff, but it is still not simple. So next up, I need a pencil. I need eraser. Do I have any normal eraser? It's not the one I'm looking for. Of course, I'm not going to find what I'm looking for when I need it. I wanted my teeny tiny Tombow eraser. Instead, I'm just finding Tombow sandpaper erasers, which are helpful, but not what I need right now. Okay, whatever. Let's find a point. So this will be our like rock formation that peeks up out of the water. Which touches this needs to come up higher. This is why I sometimes sketch these out, because I wouldn't have realized just how high this comes up. But this line that curves ever so slightly, and it really is only a slight curve. And then we have Okay. So there are rough sort of color block sections. And let's just like lighten these lines because I'm not totally sure what I'm using to paint. I might go with boring colors this week. I might just like keep it pretty basic and go. I'm realizing you can't even see my pencil lines on camera, which proves just how light I'm sketching this out. So I try and mask this out for my own eyes. All right, so we're gonna start wet on wet and just sort of do a base of a really pale, transparent yellow. And you might be wondering why, and it's because like even the water section isn't blue, it's teal. And I want to tie everything together. And I think if I choose a really flat, let's go Cosmic Creations Marigold. If I choose a really flat yellow color, so something that doesn't granulate a whole bunch, and do it as my base, I can get the look I want of this sort of super tied together piece. That's my swatch card. Otherwise, this isn't going to be unified. So let it sit for a minute. The other thing is, this is going to be wet on wet, at least for the first layer or two. Once I get past that point, it'll be wet on dry. But for the first layer or two, this is going to be wet on wet as I like sort of just throw color in. Like after that point, it can be wet on dry for any of the detail work, like the top edge of the rocks and stuff. But for like some of this, I want it to have more of a sort of relaxed look. And it's just this very pale, flat yellow, which is exactly what I want. So let's grab the flat. And just unify this entire base, this really pale yellow. All right, let's dry this thing. All right, now that we're dry, let's label this. What do I want? Let's label with this. So this is for an upcoming video. I just filmed this yesterday. Actually, I haven't edited this yet, but it is coming. Now that we have our yellowish base, which again isn't really showing up on camera today, don't know why. Same lighting situation as always. Let's grab, how do I want to work? Do I want to work water up or sky down? Let's work sky down. So, for once, I'm using the swatch book in Paint Your Style. That never really happens. But I'm trying to find things that don't granulate like super granulating's do, but will still give me a fun texture. Because that seems to be sort of the feel of this piece. So I know I just said I wasn't going to use things that granulated a whole bunch, but I think that'll give me the texture that I want. So that's Schmincke Deep Sea Violet. We might try just Schmincke Deep Sea Violet. Okay, we're gonna do the water as well. And then we're gonna build in the rocks. That's how we're gonna do this. Which means I need a very dark blue-green. Sure, but where are you? I think that's you. There's what I want. Okay. There's our sky and our water. At least what we're going to attempt for both of them. We'll see how this goes. Oh, I found my block. It was underneath the swatch book. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So we have, for the sky, we have Deep Sea Violet from Schmincke, and for the water, we have Vivianite Blue and Mayan Blue Light. Vivianite Blue is from Cozmick, and Mayan Blue Light is from Issy. And both are quite fun as colors go. But I want to keep this not super heavy. Oh no, some of my pieces tend to get really, really heavy. And I want to keep this slightly more enjoyable as like a color palette. It doesn't make sense. I want to keep this calmer as a color palette. Let's go with calmer. Deep Sea Violet is probably going to be ready way before the others. sort of what I expected. All right, and now it sort of gets to do its thing and spread and be happy. Alright, so we're going to stick Vivianite up in these corners. All right, let's try that. honestly, I don't hate it so far. We're about to get into the harder stuff, which is the rocks. But so far, it's not been awful. And it's an interesting sort of collection of colors. So I'm actually going to pop all of these away into the palette. Mostly because I don't need them out anymore, I don't think. So this is I have to say, I love this ink from Mont Blanc. It's a fabulous color. So that goes there. That goes there. Actually, we're not going to put that away. I might use it for the rocks to like just bring colors up to the same sort of tonal level. And then this goes there. All right, the rocks. I need a flat, very dark gray black. Normally, I would just be pulling colors from my brain. That's how I tend to like to work. In a piece like this, though, where it has a very distinct look, I don't do that as much. I think I want that. For a brown, I think. Maybe I want that too. Then I want my third and fourth to be darker. So mocha. Desert brown. And I need a Quinn Gold, maybe. Let's go with Phoenix, actually. Okay. There's our rock colors. Now I just have to find them in the palette. Because I did not pull as I pulled swatches. So we need Phoenix, which is here. So Phoenix, Ambia, Desert Brown, Desert Orange, Desert Orange, Mocha, 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 Mocha. I want to say you're Mocha. No, you're gingerbread. It's ash brown. You're Mocha. Are you Desert Brown? You are Mocha. Okay. So there. I don't know that color arrangement really makes sense, but we're gonna make it work. And I'm also gonna pull back out the Marigold swatch because for whatever reason I put it away or it never came out. but I think I'm gonna want it for this, as I'm pulling rounds for this section. So, oh, and I need a flat black. I think I want a black. I don't know that I want, so I could go with something like Roman Small's Urban Gray. Or because in a perfect world, I'd go with granulate's too much, granulate's too much. Roman Small's Urban Gray is an option. If I knew where it was, it would be an option. But like a black. Yeah, no, it's like a black. Okay, there are two options. We've got Inky, because we've technically got Addison and Cedric's Chinchilla as well as an option. I'll pull all three. We'll see which one I use. I'd rather have them pulled than have to find them in the palette again in a couple minutes. So I need Inky, which is next to Chinchilla, they're all below Urban Gray. All right, we'll stick our black options up there. Until we need them. My organization makes no sense here. Desert Orange, Mocha. There we go. All right, let's do these rocks. Let's do these rocks. Okay. The thing is, if I overpaint these rocks, I can then go in and mask them out again with black. So that's not a problem. Really, it's this top edge that I'm concerned about, and I want my teeny tiny liner, which isn't actually a liner. It's a 000, but it's a 000 with a really nice point. Those are hard to find these days. So, you know what I'm actually gonna do? I'm gonna do this entire rock section as one thing. It's gonna be one thing, and then I'm just gonna go over it with black. That's how I'm gonna do this. All right, we have a plan. It's a good plan. Because that way I've got exactly what I want / need done. Okay. Let's grab this and some Desert Orange. Oh, we might just do this in Desert Orange. Might just be the rock face of Desert Orange, because, like, it's got so much going on with it that I don't know that I need a bunch of other stuff involved. I like how I pulled a whole bunch of stuff and now I'm going, huh, Maybe I just need this one color that I tend to hate. I never used desert orange in actual paintings. Maybe this is the piece for desert orange to get to shine. All right, I'm gonna let this dry naturally a bit so that it continues to like granulate and stuff. So I love how desert orange is a color that I absolutely hated, and it's just sort of living its best life in this piece. We still have the rock at the bottom to come back to. And I'm leaning towards a black over Roman Smalls Urban Gray, simply because I think I need something darker to mask it out than what I have. So we will let this dry a little bit and then we'll see where we go from there. Overall though, like, it's not as awful as I expected so far. We still have the water to add though. I think though I'm going to do it in white. That's what it looks to be like. It looks to be a white color just because of how fast it's falling over the edge. And I think I'm going to embrace the fact that it looks to be white instead of like trying to color match a bunch of blues. So while it dries, let's pick out a white from the shimmer book. Cool, that was easy. We are using oat milk, which I don't know if that's still in her line. It might still be in her line. All right, I think that's dried enough naturally, so let's dry it with the heat. There we go. So I shouldn't have been surprised that at least in one spot I had a gum arabic line, seeing as all three of the colors that mix there are very heavy in gum arabic. But I still was a little bit surprised, unfortunately. We're gonna go with Inky, I think. Both are very black. Do I prefer chinchilla to Inky in this case? I don't know. Oh, they're both good blacks. And they both will give like the abyss feel that this piece has. We're gonna go with Inky because I know how shimmers layer over Laura's paints. And I haven't played around with the Addison and Sedgwick ones with shimmers enough to know how they layer with shimmers. And that is how that decision gets made. Ew. That makes sense. My desk is now covered in water. All right. So that's sit for a second. And then we will get into doing this line. I cannot see my lines anymore. Right. There we go. Let's grab our Tintoretto and layer in our black. Making sure to cover those pencil lines. It does not matter if we go over the pencil lines because those pencil lines are just like showing us how far down and how far up we need to go. So if we go a little bit above them to make it look more rocky, that is okay. All right. I think that's probably good. It's not quite as opaque as I wanted, so I'm actually going to do a second layer. I thought that that might happen, so we're just going to put in a second layer over the whole thing, not just the patchy parts, because I don't want it to look uneven. And hopefully by second layering all of it, it'll look okay. All right, let's dry this again. So that's an important lesson in not overworking paint. I had a very nice smooth black background except for one section, and in trying to fix it, I have now made it fairly unsmooth across the whole thing, but it's uniformly unsmooth, so I think I can make it work. Let's add Inky to our swatch card. And then I realized we have this bottom rock. I was like, oh, we get to add in the shimmer now. No, we still have one more rock. So let's do this final rock. Keeping it pretty simple. Now that my brush is no longer black, let's grab our desert orange, which of course now has sat for long enough that it is not a liquid anymore. I'm hoping that I can cover up. Most of the lines that sort of go over. Well, this bottom edge is very orange. Looks are very black, but I don't know that I feel like adding black to this rock. Maybe just a touch. All right, let's dry this rock. Okay, and now all of the mats and everything for them, like the brushes and everything, are gonna go away because I use separate brushes for my shimmer paints. I have for this point, I have since almost the beginning actually. So over 4 years, I've used separate brushes for my mats and my shimmers. It's just how I work. And it works quite well for me. So let's grab the shimmer brush container and see where we are at with, I didn't wet it. Oh, this is gonna have to sit for forever. Might not have to sit for forever. It's been a bit since I've used her paints. I can't remember how long they have to sit for. Some brands it's only like a minute or two, and some brands it's more like 5 or 6 minutes. So let's let it sit. So far, I'm pretty happy. I'm surprised at how much I like the rock section. I'm not as big of a fan of the rock and the water. I think I went... It doesn't look undifferent than how the original looks. I just don't like the original rock. So I don't think there's a way for me to like this one either. And now we're just waiting for the shimmer to activate and do its thing. And then we get to paint. We get to finish this piece. which is always exciting. It's been a bit since we've had, no, it wasn't. We did a paint your style that was all shimmer last week. I was going to say, it's been a while since we've done a paint your style that was shimmery. It really hasn't. It's been like 6 days. And that full thing was sparkly. All right. No, there's still no shimmer pigments floating on top. So, normally I would sort of mask out where the lines are going and plan them out. I don't know that I can do that because this is white. And white does not like things going on top of white, underneath white. So, let's grab a liner. This might get tricky. It's already been tricky. This might get trickier as I put in these lines, because I won't be able to mask them out, and so I will be freehanding all of them. Oh, that brush had yellow in it. So I have just contaminated. Does this brush have... No, this brush is clean. Fantastic. I haven't used this shimmer in a bit. I don't use white shimmer all that often. There are very few cards these days or pieces these days where I use white. I use a lot of other colors far more frequently. So now that this is all mixed, we are going to ink up this, or did I want this one? That was the script I wanted. I knew I had a tiny shimmer script. I just needed to find it. less happy with this now. Waterfalls are hard. Some of the black is coming up. So I knew that I was approaching danger because shimmers do layer well over other colors as long as you don't overwork and use too much water. And I knew I was approaching using too much water. And it, you know, told me that I was by lifting up some black. I would not call this a win at this point. I think it was a win before I added the water. Because apparently I've forgotten that, like, water gets... Yeah, I don't know that I'd call this a win anymore. I did really like it before I added the waterfall section. I'm trying to get the misty look that I got on the first one. And of course, now that I want it and it's purposeful, it's not giving it to me. All right. Recommended watercolor technique? No. Is it giving me the look I want? Yes. And that look is sort of buffed out, hazy. Water droplets. All right. Do I love this piece? No. Am I about to go and look for a pale blue in my palette to add into this white monstrosity to hopefully redeem it? Yes. So let's find a blue. I do not want a color shifting blue. I just want a normal blue. Great. There's Wildflower, also from Campbella, which, you know, maybe will work. My finger is now white, and maybe we can redeem this. Because I don't want to start this all over again. We're in too deep for a do-over. Watercolor meets finger painting. Let's dry this. All right, we now have Wildflower, and we're going to be incredibly selective with where we put in Wildflower, because it is also going over black, and I know how much it pops over black. But I want to save this piece because I love the background of it. It went off the rails when it came to the water, and I knew that was gonna happen. I was so uncomfortable with the waterfalls. We've done a couple of them in Paint Your Style, and I know that they make me uncomfortable. I haven't quite figured out painting them yet correctly, and the lighting for them and stuff, and so I'm just hoping that by adding in a couple little flecks of blue, I can sort of just like play with light enough, especially in the pictures. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, like video, but like in the pictures of this for the challenge, I just want to be able to play with the lighting enough. I will say head on, you can't see it. On the angle, you can definitely see the blue. And the blue is the only thing you can see on the angle. So, what's this blue? This blue is Wildflower. And we had tape bleed. Yeah, that tracks for this piece. I like it better with the blue. If I hold it on an angle, like you might be able to see the hints of blue in there now. I think the blue adds some dimension that it needed. It was too flat. Still not a huge fan. Honestly, not my favorite paint your style that I've done, but they won't all be my favorites. And I think it's important to not redo them the same week. Sometimes I do them 6 months later. I go back to them. I might flag this one to come back to in 6 months or a year. I've done that with a couple as well, just so that there's a bit more time to think about it. But for now, this is as good as it gets, and that's all right. It's very different from what I normally paint, and I tried, and that's really what's important. So if you enjoyed this week's Paint Your Style, thank you for watching. I do these as a live sometime during the week. You would normally say I do these as a live on Wednesdays. They've been sort of whenever for the past couple weeks. So I can't say that I do these as a Wednesday live anymore because I genuinely don't know when I do them as a live. So sort of like check back in at some point next week, and I've probably done it as a live video or it's scheduled to be a live video. I think next week though it will either be Monday or Wednesday, just looking at the schedule for the week. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you do any of the Paint Your Style challenges. They are definitely fun. I think we're at nearly a year of me doing them every week. I think I've only missed 1 or 2 weeks for the past year because I started in April last year doing them consistently. Before then, I'd just been doing them every once in a while, but April 2023, I started doing them monthly or weekly. So I've done a lot of them at this point, but there are still some weeks that trip me up, like this one. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a great, I think it's Tuesday. Have a great Tuesday.